Good evening, one and all. We welcome you all to the international webinar series on holistic health, well-being, and sustainable development. (2025). So we welcome you all once again to the international webinar series on holistic health, well-being, and sustainable development 2025, commemorating Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, nation celebrating 77 years of independence, and United Nations Sustainable Development Goals 2015 to 2030, Viksit Bharat at 2047, in collaboration with Sri Holistic Health Foundation India and Sri Research Institute Center for Art, Sciences and Wellbeing as part of awareness and campaigns. Before we start our sessions, let's take the blessings of Almighty.
कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शत्रुबुद्धिविनाशाय दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः
With the blessings of Almighty, we shall continue with today's commemorations. Today, we are commemorating as World Bicycle Day, which is celebrated on 3rd June. So regular physical activity of moderate intensity, such as walking, cycling, or doing sports, has significant benefits for health. At all ages, the benefits of being physically active outweigh potential harm, for example, through accidents. Some physical activity is better than none. So by becoming more active throughout the day in relatively simple ways, people can quite easily achieve the recommended activity levels. So according to the World Health Organization, WHO, safe infrastructure for walking and cycling is also a pathway for achieving greater health equity. For the poorest urban sector, who often cannot afford private vehicles, walking and cycling can provide a form of transport while reducing the risk of heart diseases, stroke, certain cancers, diabetes, and even death. Accordingly, improved active transport is not only healthy, it also equitable and cost-effective. Meeting the needs of people who walk and cycle continues to be a critical part of the mobility solution. For helping cities decouple population growth from increased emissions and improve air quality and road safety, the COVID-19 pandemic has also led many cities to rethink their transport systems. World Bicycle Day draws attention to the benefits of using the bicycle, a simple, affordable, clean, and environmentally fit, sustainable means of transportation. The bicycle continues to be cleaner air and less congestion and make education, healthcare, and other social resources more accessible to the most vulnerable population. A sustainable transport system that promotes economic growth, reduces inequalities, while bolstering the fight against the climate change is critical to achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. On 15 March 2022, the General Assembly adopted the resolution on integration of mainstream bicycling into public transportation systems for sustainable development. It emphasized that the bicycle is an instrument of sustainable transportation and conveys a positive message to foster sustainable consumption and production and has a positive impact on climate. So, acknowledging the uniqueness, longevity, and versatility of this bicycle, which has been in use for 2 centuries, and that it is a simple, affordable, reliable, clean, and environmentally fit, sustainable means of transportation, fostering environmental stewardship and the health, the General Assembly decided to declare 3rd June as World Bicycle Day. It encourages stakeholders to emphasize and advance the use of bicycle as a means of fostering sustainable development, strengthening education, including physical education for children and young people, promoting health, preventing disease, promoting tolerance, mutual understanding and respect, and facilitating social inclusion and a culture of peace. The Assembly welcomed initiatives to organize bicycle rides at the national and local levels as a means of strengthening physical and mental health and well being and developing a culture of cycling in society. According to the World Health Organization Global Action Plan on Physical Activity 2018 and 2020, 2030, physical activity has multiplicated health, social, and economic benefits, and investment in policy actions to increase physical activity can contribute to achieving the Sustainable Development Goals (SDGs). There are multiple direct and indirect pathways by which policies to promote physical activity through walking, cycling, sport, active recreation, and play support 13 of the SDGs. So everyone can help limit climate change from the way we travel to the electricity we use, the food we eat, and the things we buy. We can make a difference. The world's roadways are clogged with vehicles, most of them burning diesel or gasoline, walking or riding. A bike instead of driving will reduce greenhouse gas emissions and help your health and fitness. So these actions can help tackle the climate crisis. Today is also commemorated as World Egg Day or National Egg Day. Today is also commemorated as Chimborazo Day, which is celebrated on June 3rd every year, although it isn't the tallest peak on the planet. Chimborazo mountain holds the distinction of being the highest point on Earth. It is an inactive stratovolcano in the Cordillera Occidental range of the Andes in Ecuador. The mountain is measured at the elevation of 20,000 feet, which makes it the highest mountain in the Ecuador. The Chimborazo is also a top destination for mountaineers. On this day, revelers gather together to celebrate the farthest point from the Earth's center and the spirit of mountaineering. For a long time, Chimborazo was thought to be the tallest mountain in the world. And just like with Everest, several mountaineers have made attempts to conquer its peak. Even though Chimborazo is no longer the highest peak on Earth, the mountain plays an important role in planet's geography It is one of the two key points that helped in determining the actual shape of the Earth. A Lapland team working with the French geodesk mission gathered data from this mountain to determine that the Earth is not a sphere but rather an oblate spheroid. For decades, mountaineers have tried to climb the mountain and have challenged by its intimidating height, raggedy slopes, and altitude sickness. In 1880, Edward Whymper successfully scaled to the height of the entire mountain, making him the first man to climb Chimborazo. Alexander von Humboldt climbed the mountain to 19,280 feet in 1802. Chimborazo Day is celebrated to honor the significant progress that humans have made in geography, cartography. This day also celebrates the peak that is an important part of Ecuador's identity. It's also a great day for adventure lovers to observe Chimborazo Day by going on hike or mountaineering. Along with these, one can also celebrate the beauty of nature and wildlife on Chimborazo Day. It's really a day of many celebrations. Today is also commemorated as Insect Repellent Awareness Day in US. On June 3rd, every year, everyone has been bitten by an insect before, and while many insect bites offer nothing more than a discomfort, some lead to illness. The most common insect bite that leads to illness is a mosquito bite, which can give rise to malaria, one of the deadliest diseases in the world, and which continues to take countless lives. Insect Repellent Awareness Day was created to promote use of insect repellents to prevent insect bites and the spread of diseases that happen when bites occur. So on this day, everyone is encouraged to take measures to prevent insect bites. So people reacting to insect bites is as old as time. Insects are everywhere, and over time, people have tried to develop measures to control them and in turn stop the spread of diseases that they transmit. One of the major diseases of concern on Insect Repellent Awareness Day is malaria, which is transmitted by mosquitoes. Malaria started as zoonotic disease found in the primates of Africa and since then has spread to entire continent apart from Antarctica. For hundreds of years, the prevention and treatment of malaria have been targeted by advances in science and technology. Understanding how the malaria parasites operates began in 1880 with Alphonse Leverent's discovery of the parasites in the blood of malaria patients. A few years down in line in 1897, the sexual stages of malaria parasite in the blood were discovered by William McCallum. The next year in 1898, Italian malariologist Giovanni Battista Grassi, Giuseppe Bastinelli, Amico Bignami, Camillo Golgi, Angelo Celli, and Ettore Marcheffa concluded that human malaria was transmitted by mosquitoes, and in this case, the Anopheles. Most strides were made when Henry Short and Cyril Graham discovered that malaria parasites developed in the liver before entering the bloodstream in 1948. Wojciech Kretowski also demonstrated in 1982 the final stage in the life cycle of the Plasmodium parasite and the presence of dormant stages in the liver. All these have led to what we know as Insect Repellent Day, as it was launched by the scientists at the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine in a bid to get people to understand the importance of using insect repellents at home and while traveling. Today is also commemorated as Love Conquers All Day in US, which is celebrated on June 3rd every year as a day to cherish our loved ones No matter how tough life gets, the sailing becomes smoother with our old loved ones at our side. It is a day to express gratitude to and love to those who matter. Recognize love as an emotion that makes the world go around, a day of joy and warmth. You can celebrate it with your friends, family, partners, pets, or anyone whom you love and cherish. So, love is an emotion that is probably as old as humans themselves. It is described as a sublime feeling that positivity affects our mental and emotional well being. The Greek philosophers identified six different forms of love: familial love, friendly love, romantic love, self love, just love, and divine love. Today, love also exists as unrequited love, empty love, compassionate love, consummate love, infatuated love, self love, and courtly love. So every culture has its own unique definitions of love. Some also celebrate love as part of religion and spirituality. It is also a common subject of art, literature, poetry, movies, and music. The famous expression "love conquers all" is credited to the Roman poet Virgil. These lines are found in Virgil's Eclogues and were originally written in Latin. When translated in English, "Amor vincit omnia et nos sedamus omeri" means love conquers all things, so we too shall yield to love. The expression suggests that there is no force in the world that cannot be overcome by love. The phrase also finds a mention in the religious scriptures like the Bible. It preaches that God loves everyone and those who are kind and will be rewarded with love and joy. The Bible says the vices like hatred, manipulation, and deception are not fought with weapons, but love. Although the phrase love conquers all does not exist in the Bible, many verses preach a similar sentiment. But unfortunately, many people do not take it in a right sense and follow it. Today is also commemorated as Martyrs' Day in Uganda on June 3rd, 2025. This day has been observed since 1975 and it is of great significance to the Ugandan people. It celebrates the bravery and sacrifice of 45 Christians who choose execution rather than renouncing their faith at a time of great social and political strife caused by religious tensions. The Ugandan martyrs are hailed as heroes and in some cases saints, though they faced a tragic end that 23 Anglican and 23 Catholic converts have been always been and will always be a symbol of inspiration, hope, unity of Ugandans. There is also commemorated National Chocolate Marathon Day on June 3rd. Every year, chocolate marathons are popular dessert made with chocolate, icing sugar, and nut garnishings. Marathons are available in range of flavors, but chocolate marathons remain an undisputed favorite among everyone. A rich, creamy chocolate-filled marathon is an instant mood lifter and deserves a separate day of celebration. This day is celebrated at pastries, cooking schools, and even at home. So schedule your next cheat day for June 3rd to celebrate National Chocolate Macaron Day with your loved ones. A macaroon is a small cake or cookie. The chief ingredients in a macaroon are almost uh, almond powder and brown sugar. Flavors are added as per individual preferences. Some dessert lovers also add coconut shavings, condensed milk, and groundnuts for added flavor. The macaroons are baked on edible rice paper in an oven. Today is also commemorated as National Egg Day and World Egg Day. Eggs have been some tough years as health experts fretted about the high cholesterol content. But after a revision of American Heart Association guidelines in 2000, the health benefits of eggs seem to outweigh the concerns. The AHA says that healthy adults can enjoy an egg per day and easily remain within the daily cholesterol limit, but too much consumption of eggs can cause different health problems. It is also commemorated as National Simp Day on June 3rd every year. It is an important day that day aims to break the stigma currently surrounding the term simp. For instance, many men are called simps when they show sympathy towards another person. The term is derogatory since it implies that the man wants to sleep with a particular woman. Women, on the other hand, are called simps when they go out for a man and their love is not reciprocated. The different meaning it holds based on the gender are misogynistic and end up forming negative opinions. This is why it is essential to celebrate National Simp Day and put an end to the judgments we are often surrounded. The definition of the word simp has evolved over the years and have been held different meanings. In every century, the term was found in 1985 by US rapper Too Short, who used it in his 1985 hit Pimpology. In the 1980s, it was a word used to describe someone as overly sympathetic. The term was also used to describe simpletons, people who are considered stupid. However, with globalization and emergence of numerous social media platforms, the meaning of the word changed. It now stands for a person who provides extra attention to someone in return for sex. Adversely, Urban Dictionary defines a simp as someone who does way too much for a person they like. The dictionary listed the word in 2005, known as simping. The one sided infatuation with someone can be carried out for celebrities, politicians, social media influencers, etc. Today is also commemorated as Opium Suppression Movement Day on June 3rd in Taiwan. This Taiwanese day, holiday, or commemoration is dedicated to ending cigarette smoking. The opium suppression movement in China inspired these initiatives by spreading awareness about the dangers of smoking and tobacco consumption. The day hopes to get smokers to prevent others from taking up smoking. 46% of Taiwanese men and 6% of women are smokers. And of the country's 23 million, around 5 million consume tobacco products. Cigarette smoking causes cancer, lung disease, and heart disease. In this light of these statistics, the importance of the state becomes clear with smoking today. In 18th century China, opium was a popular and forbidden drug. Millions of citizens were opium addicts and smugglers imported massive quantities of drug to supply them. The government imposed a zero tolerance policy and enforced it with imperial police. By 1839, the Chinese had seized a massive haul of opium belonging to the British East India Trading Company. It took the better part of 3 weeks to destroy the cache. The action would kick off the opium wars in the 20th century. Opium in China was seen as a cause of widespread social dysfunction. In the 1950s, Mao Zedong's government began strenuous efforts to end the consumption and cultivation of opium in China, a largely successful movement that eradicated opium from the mainland. So Christopher Columbus was the first European to discover smoking. On his arrival to the New World in 1492, he was presented with many dried herbs that the indigenous people called tobaccos. The smoke from these leaves made the users feel intoxicated and sleep. Others chewed on leaves to achieve the same effect. Tobacco use spread across the Europe and England in 1600s and 1700s, at one point becoming a monetary standard. Tobacco was smoked in pipe cigars chewed or consumed as snuff. In the early 19th century, and cigars arrived in the US. Today is also commemorated as Repeat Day in US. Repetition is a key element. Repetition is a key element in everyday life. Daily routines give us a sense of stability and direction. We may not think about it much, but repetition is also a good example of how our personal tastes are constructed. Take your favorite ice cream, the first encounter with the flavor or starting point of a love affair that is expressed through repetition. Case in point, the difficulty of choosing a different flavor when faced with a daunting decision. The arts have also used repetition as a driving force behind powerful narratives. The most popular of the example in the movie Groundhog Day in the West, where a character finds himself explicitly repeating the same day over and over again. Other movies around repetition and time loops include Run, Lola, Run, and Palm Springs. But there is much more to repetition than meets the eye. Sanford Meisner, an actor and teacher, developed this acting technique based on the repetition of words between performances. By repeating the same word over and over again, the literal meaning of the word loses importance, and what is left is the underlying emotion of the word of the moment between the performance. Today is also commemorated as World Cedar Day. On June 3rd, cedar enthusiasts around the world clink their glasses together and make a toast on World Cedar Day. This apple based drink is adored and considered a favorite from Japan to America. By the time Romans invaded England around 55 BC, they found that cedar was already being enjoyed among the Celts. Apple trees have already been introduced to the landscape from forests around Kazakhstan and were well established across Europe and Asia. It was in southern England, France, and Spain that process of fermenting and later distilling the fruit was perfected. Cider has a low alcohol content because apples are low in sugar. Even the sweetest of apples contain a far less sugar than grapes. In vats of cider, the yeast eats whatever sugar is available, turning it into an alcohol and carbon dioxide. Once all the sugar is gone, the yeast dies off, leaving behind a fermented cider, which only contains around 4 to 5% alcohol. Today, some cider makers add another round of sugar and yeast to their concoction, allowing the carbon dioxide to build up and create bubbles inside the bottle. Of course, this is also a drink that should be avoided if consumed regularly or more. So today is also commemorated as European Bicycle Day in Germany, as we are commemorating Bicycle Day, World Bicycle Day, even in Germany also. on June 3rd for the love of cycling and its centuries-long association with the European inexpensive, sustainable, and climate friendly. There's a lot of that speaks to the merits of humble bicycle. This exciting day is marked by peddlers across Germany as they take their bikes out for a joyride and encourage bystanders to join in the fun. Organized in the footsteps of World Bicycle Day, it is fitting tribute to cycling as the ideal means of transportation. So, European Bicycle Day is celebrated in several countries across the continent, but the main event takes place in Germany. The day is inspired by the United Nations Initiative on Cycling and has been observed since 2018. Several cities across the country will participate in this event while the people give pro cycling demonstrations. European Bicycle Day is proudly supported by the European Cycling Federation, as all major countries of people warm up to the idea of ditching cars for a jolly ride of their own. The day marks the beginning of the global initiative in support of cycling. Cycling meets 12 of the 17 goals of sustainable development. Like its two wheels, it works in tandem with our quest to mitigate the impact of climate change. So, European Bicycle Day acknowledges the versatility of the bicycle being one of the most important inventions of the 19th century. Bicycles have stood the test of time and continue to gain popularity across all generations. The motion development tool for a toddler and a final stretch of exercise for aging adult, cycling is a friend to people of all ages. Throughout Europe, the day is used to encourage stakeholders to share their positive experiences after adapting to the pedal lifestyle. The day also acknowledges that although personal pledges are a good start, they are not enough to make a significant impact on limiting motorized vehicles on the streets. We need the government to make cycling desirable through economic and social standards. So, cycling is one of the most impactful forms of exercise as it uses every major muscle group and a party for your body. Cycling burns calories by increasing your heart rate and builds up body stamina, and it's an aerobic workout. Cycling saves time by freeing up you up from traffic and schedule of public transportation. That time efficiency is a huge plus. And addition, cycling limits the stress on bones and its dynamic impact on our joints helps to lubricate them. So it improves joint mobility. Research shows that regular cycling can reduce the chance of colon and breast cancer. So with this, we shall end today's commemorations. Thank you everyone for joining us, and we request everyone to quickly fill up the feedback form which has been raised in the form of votes. So see you all tomorrow at the same time with the same joining link. Take care. Good night.